Hey guys, Todd here. Today we're going to install this TruXedo Deuce 2 on this 2019 new body style Chevy Silverado. Now this is the same install as a GMC Sierra. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, now this truck already has a bulkhead seal installed from a previous install. If it did not have a bulkhead seal, there is one included in your kit. You just run it along the top of the bulkhead. Make sure you wipe everything down with rubbing alcohol first. Go from one bed cap all the way to the other and as far back on the bed cap as possible without it dropping down into the bed of the truck. Next, we're going to apply our block seal. Now that's going to go into this corner right here. I've already wiped down this surface with isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Next, what I'm going to do is install the block seal about 1/4 inch lower than the bed cap and then all the way up against the bulkhead. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that away and set it in place. Okay, next what we're going to do is get our underbody rail for the passenger side. There will be a sticker on there that says passenger side. Also, your tab is going to be facing towards the cab of the truck. That's basically going to hang on top of your bed cap. Make sure that when you hang it, you want to push it forward as far forward as possible. You actually want to compress the block seal, and this is going to end about 1/4 inch away from the bulkhead. All right, now I'm going to use a spring clamp to temporarily hold this rail in place. Next, I'm going to use one of our included clamps. I'm going to go ahead and spread that apart. That's going to go up into the rail. I want to make sure it goes as far up into the rail as possible. I also want to make sure it mates perfectly into the rail. I'm going to hold that together, and then first hand tight, I'm going to tighten it up. Once I've got it making contact, I want to make sure that the rail is down all the way so it's seated properly. And then I can go ahead and snug it up. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and move further down on the underbody rail. Now there is a spot on the back of the bed cap where it recesses in where it's closer to the plastic bed cap. That's where we want to place the clamp. So I'm going to go ahead and take our clamp, spread that apart in that location, get the clamp as high up into that rail as possible, lock it in place. And just like the first one, go ahead and get it hand tight first. When it starts to bite down, go ahead and make sure that rail is seated all the way against the bed cap, and then snug it up. Okay, now this is our passenger side rail assembly. It does fold over, and I've got it folded over because that's how we're going to install it. If you notice, we've got a seal that runs along the bottom side just underneath the Velcro. That's actually going to hang on top of the bed cap. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that over, hang it on top of the bed cap. And then once I have it in place on top of the bed cap, I'm going to slide it forward to hit the underbody rail. Once it has hit that underbody rail, I'm going to temporarily hold into position with a squeeze clamp. All right, now about 1 foot back from where our underbody rail meets our rail assembly, we're going to have another location on the metal bed flange where it recesses in to meet where the plastic bed cap is. That's where we're going to install our next clamp. We're going to install it the exact same way. All the rest of the clamps have been installed all the way up. And then hand tight first. Make sure it's seated all the way, and then snug it up. All right, now we're going to go ahead and install our stake pocket clamp at the very end of the rail. This side of the stake pocket clamp is going to install inside the stake pocket. So if I put my hand down through the stake pocket, there's actually a hole that goes from the stake pocket to the inside of the bed. I've already gone ahead and made an access hole in my bed rug. If you don't have a bed liner, if you have a spray-in bed liner, you probably have a plug there. You just want to pop that plug out. Next, I'm going to go ahead and pull the two halves apart. And then this half goes to the inside of the bed. You've got this little rubber gasket down here that's going to go downward. That goes through the hole. Now this bolt is going through the hole. We're going to take this side of the clamp. This end goes down, line up the threads to that bolt. So we're going to go down into the stake pocket. Now once we've got the threads lined up, we're going to go ahead and raise this clamp half up where it mates into the grooves on the rail, and then go ahead and tighten that down hand tight. Once it's snug by hand, make sure the rail is seated all the way down and tighten it up. Repeat the exact same process on the opposite side. Okay, now I've gone ahead and grabbed the tarp out of the box. I've set it on top of the rails right behind where my rail assembly ends. I've got the tailgate open to make this easier. This side should be facing up and the rubber seal should be facing away from the cab of the truck. Now everything I'm doing on this side will also be doing on the opposite sides. Okay, go ahead and move the strap out of its storage position so it hangs down into the bed of the truck. The rubber band that's holding this in place, go ahead and take that apart and pull this piece of tape off of this rod end and then rotate the rod end towards the inside of the bed. Next, what I'm going to go ahead and do is lift up my rail assembly and slide the cover underneath. We've got a locator pin that needs to line up to this oval hole, and this part of the header bar needs to rock into this cam latch right here. Now, once both are lined up, we can go ahead and lock it in place. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and hold on to the tarp to keep it from unrolling. Rotate the entire assembly over so that it rests on top of the bulkhead. And go ahead and let the rail pins drop down into their holes. Okay, now we're going to rotate these rods over to these ball studs here on the rail pins. Now when I rotate that around, you're going to notice we've got a little hole here. That right there is going to lock onto that ball stud. But first we have to make sure that ball stud lines up to the hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this until it lines up to that ball stud. Then we can go ahead and lock it in place and do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, now our Velcro is what's called floating Velcro. So we want to make sure that it's pushed all the way forward, front and back. Do that on both sides. We can go ahead and test the operation of the cover. We're going to roll it back to the tailgate. All right, now to operate the front panel, all we do is take this lever, push it to the side, and we can lift the front panel back. To close the front panel, just drop it in place. Well, that concludes the installation. If you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online.